welcome back to the Journey 24/7 podcast. Today we're looking at Exodus chapter 37, and here again we're continuing to see the construction of the tabernacle, but then also the elements inside the tabernacle. Today specifically we're looking at elements that are inside the tabernacle. We're seeing here the making of the ark. Remember, this is the Ark of the Covenant or Ark of the Testimony, depending on what you call it. But this was the only element that was going to be in the most holy place of the tabernacle. Remember, this Ark of the Covenant was going to have the mercy seat on top of it, and this would be where the Lord's presence hovered, was over this mercy seat. So this was the place where the Lord was going to meet with Moses and the high priest the once a year that the high priest could come in. And so this was why it was the most holy place, or other times we may hear it called the Holy of Holies, because this was where God's presence was actually going to be. This was going to be where he would dwell among his people. And we will talk more about this as we get further into the Old Testament and see more of people meeting with the Lord here in the most holy place. But this was very sacred. This was not something where somebody just walked in. No, you had to be specifically the high priest. You could only go in once a year. And when you did, just as we've been talking about, you had to be consecrated. There was extreme measure to this because, again, they were sinful people. The sin that happened in the Garden of Eden broke that communion with God, broke that relationship with God. It brought sin into the world and infected all of us. So people couldn't just walk in and be in the direct presence of God, because that relationship was broken. But God, in his grace and his mercy, still desired to be close to his people, to dwell among his people, so that's why he had them build this tabernacle. And then we know ultimately that when Christ comes and he takes on our sin and takes it up on the cross and then raises from the dead, defeating sin, defeating death, we have then been made righteous in the eyes of God because our sin has been paid for, so now he dwells not just among us, but actually in us. Because our God is that gracious, that loving, that merciful, and that kind. We also see the making of the table, the making of the lampstand, and the altar of incense here. These were the three things that we see in the holy place. So remember, we had the most holy place, the holy place, and then the courtyard. We talked about that as you get closer and closer to the most holy place, everything is more refined. So here we see in the holy place where everything is made of gold, just as the making of the ark, when we see that it was also made of gold. Now, when we say made with, obviously, as we're reading it, we see that it was overlaid. These were actually made out of wood, most of them, except for the golden lampstand was just pure gold. But the other ones were made out of wood and then overlaid with gold. And what we're seeing here is that things that are close to God or in the presence of God, he deserves the best. He deserves the most refined, and that's what the gold is. Because we talked about when you get into the courtyard, we see that things are made of bronze, made of silver. They're not made with something that's as refined and as good as gold. And it's just symbolic that the closer we get to the Lord, the greater and greater it is. Again, our God is so awesome and so loving. And we can be so thankful that we get to have this relationship with him through the cross. And that he doesn't just dwell among us, he does dwell in us. And we should never take that for granted. Think about that and just really let that sit in. The creator of the universe, the ruler of all things, the King of kings, the Lord of lords, the beginning and the end. He dwells inside of us. And he calls us out of darkness and into his marvelous light. Our God is so kind and so loving, and he desires to have a relationship with us. Praise God. That's going to wrap us up for today. We'll see you back here tomorrow, though, as we jump into Exodus chapter 38 together.